Gotham Season 3, Episode 18, Like the Wick. This is definitely a good episode. I think we got some really cool moments out of it. Of course, by the end of the episode, unfortunately, Jim is busted because he didn't put the thing all the way back, the little drawer. So he gets busted. Barnes makes a return at the beginning of this episode. Technically, so does Tetch, which I thought was actually pretty cool. He's, I guess talking to himself, because I was very curious. The way he was doing it in third person, I was like, are we seeing him talk, but then we'll find out he's actually telling this story to somebody? But no, he's just saying it in third person for whatever reason. But he has his little moment, which makes sense considering, he's the reason Barnes is that way. So it was kind of cool that they had him make a really small appearance. So I thought that was a cool way to do it. But Barnes is, supposed to be getting transferred, and then he breaks out of his chains pretty much, beats up the guy, snaps the dude's neck, and then one of the Talons come out, injects him pretty fast, and then that allows for him to survive, because he was about to get killed when Barnes had him pinned up against the truck. But I guess him getting amped up is what was able to actually knock him out. So the Court of Owls end up kidnapping him. We get Hugo Strange coming back. He takes the virus and he's able to put it into a new form. He's able to extract the essence from Barnes's body, and now they can replicate it, and they start using it through the city. They test it on one guy, and then they try to test it, on the daughters of Gotham. So very interesting the way everything kind of played out in this episode. I was like, all right, we got characters coming back with Hugo Strange, who's trying to survive. He's trying to make his little deals where it's like, hey, you can trust me because I have all these files. I also have a vial of the virus, which I took, I believe he said, unbeknownst to my captors. The way he said it was just interesting to me. But, he has a vial. He's got the files. He's trying to kind of be in good favor with the GCPD, which I thought was interesting. After everything he's done, it's like, check it out. Maybe after all is said and done, I'm a good guy. And it's like, you did a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know why you think there's a little bit of work. But it was cool to see him come back. Barnes is going to have a pretty big role, at least in the next episode. I don't know if he'll be making it past the next one, considering he seems to take on the whole GCPD, and he's trying to take out Jim and everything like that, after Catherine kind of sets him loose. So I don't know if he'll make it officially to the finale, but it would be nice to see him survive. I really like his character. And I liked him, before he was the crazy villain, before he was the executioner. I thought he was a great character. I liked the fact that he was that really strict character, and it made things interesting for Jim, who does break the rules a lot. And I was I always thought that was a pretty cool dynamic that they had. So I would love to see him go back to that if they could possibly find a cure. But honestly, I don't think that'll happen, mostly due to the fact that they made him an actual villain. They made him the executioner. So I'm I don't think he's reverting. I think the virus is kind of stuck, and that's all there is to it. Because they could have found a cure by this point, but they could also make up some random thing where it's we finally figured out, how to get the cure. So I don't think he's going to be making it to the finale. I don't know if they'll kill him. It's hard to say that. Especially, considering the actor being Michael Chiklis. He's a fairly well-known actor. And like I said, personally at least, I don't know about you guys, but I really do like Barnes as a character. And I think they did a good transition for him from, being the chief to now being, this villain character. And he's still not in complete control of it. So there are a lot of elements to it where I'm I hope they don't kill him. It's one of, just send him right back to Arkham, beat him, and then, just do like the comic books. Batman beats everybody. Nobody ever dies. So they're able to break out and then still be great villains later. So I'm hoping that that's kind of what they do with Barnes. They don't kill him in the next episode either. Then we get to just see him go back to Arkham and maybe show up in the next season or whatever. But it's great to see him have a return in this, and I'm excited to see him. He's fully suited up and stuff in the next episode, and him going on the hunt for Jim, I think, should be pretty entertaining. So I'm looking forward to that. Riddler ends up meeting with Penguin by the end of this episode, because Penguin, of course, ends up helping Jim. He kills the Talon, and so, of course, he basically gets kidnapped, and so when they're putting the cells together, they have their little moment, and, of course, Ed is a little bit shocked, to say the least, I thought you were dead. So, definitely a great moment there. I'm excited to see where their storyline goes in the next episode as well, considering they're both just locked up in cages. I'm where is this going to go? I know they can have their back and forth, which would be entertaining in itself, but I am very curious. are they going to end up escaping by the next episode? Because we have 2 episodes left. So we have the next one, which I'm assuming is going to focus on, Barnes going after Jim. But if they break out of their cages, or one of them does at least, that has to lead to something, for the actual season finale where people are going against the Court of Owls. So I'm just very curious, like, how in the world is this stuff going to play out? Selena is in a coma basically in this episode, so Ivy goes to help her out and she wakes up by the end of it. Her plan is to go to Wayne Manor, and I'm assuming she does end up actually telling everyone the truth, or at least, the one person that actually matters in Alfred, and then he ends up confronting the clone Bruce, so we'll see where that ends up going. But pretty much the whole thing with her was that she was in a coma, Ivy was helping her out, and I like Ivy, I mentioned that before, but she was good in this episode too, so that was fun. But it was entertaining all around. There was a lot of tension, like how are things about to play out. Lee is kind of pushing things forward, at least in like the first half of the episode. She's trying to push things forward. Like, I'm pretty sure Jim's uncle's death was actually a homicide. I think Jim should be questioned, and of course she realizes that the main people she's talking to are the ones helping Jim. So it's like Bullock and Lucius are the ones kind of helping him out. So she's like, well, I'm kind of stuck in the middle and I can't do anything. So she decides to quit by the end of this episode, and she's still super mad at Jim. And I mentioned before, it was like, there were times where I understood it, and it was always like a really weird sort of ebb and flow with her character. I'm like, sometimes I get why she's mad, sometimes I don't, and this is one of those moments where and I think I kind of settled on not really understanding why she was so angry once he killed Mario. It was like, no one's gonna believe him, of course, with the knife thing, and that's exactly what happened. And it's still that way, where she like doesn't believe that Mario was about to kill her, and I'm just like, you just, at some point you just gotta believe, like, the dude was infected, like, she knows that he was infected with the virus, and it was just an insane, at this point, I personally feel at least, it's like just an insane level of denial that she's so upset with him, because I'm like, you've seen what the virus can do with multiple people, and she just would never, like, accept the fact that Mario was super freaking infected. And so it's just like, I just can't, I feel like I can't be on her side. Maybe it's because we did see that perspective, but even if you didn't actually see the perspective, from Falcone's point, it's like, I couldn't care less. I know my son's infected, he's my son, and he knew, like, he fully knew, and it's like, well, it's just my son, so that's pretty much all there is to it. But for her, it's almost like she's in denial that he was actually going to kill her, so, I don't know. I mean, that's at least the reason she uses. If it was the same as Falcone, where it's like, he's still my husband, so I don't care that he was going to kill me, which still wouldn't make a lot of sense. Like, Falcone wasn't even about to get killed. He's just like, my son died, he did that. It's different. You saved my life, I'll be sad, because, of course, like, the whole point was to make Jim seem like the villain that whole time, and then, of course, it leads to him actually, looking like the villain, because he ends up killing the guy he seemed jealous of the whole time. So it's like, well, it kind of worked, perfectly on Lee, because she still doesn't like him, but I gotta admit, after everything she said to him when she was mad, he came back with, like, the perfect line to me, where he was like, you asked me, when we were at the cemetery, how I could just walk away and get past stuff. And he was like, it seems like you've gotten pretty good at it. It seems like you found out. And I was like, that was actually a really great line, because she was just kind of reaming him the whole time, and then he kind of hit her back at the end, like, seems like you found out how to move on to me. And I was like, that was actually a pretty cool way to end it. And both of them are pretty unhappy at this point, so I don't know where it's headed. And I wish their relationship could get back to being something good, because I really loved their relationship when it was working. And now it's like, man, I kind of hate when they're together, because I'm always mad at her, but I used to love her character, and now I just feel like she's irrationally mad. That's just, my perspective on it. And like I said, maybe it's because we saw so much of what she didn't see, because obviously we're viewers of the actual show. So, I don't know, it's really weird, but I'm like, man, I'm never really on her side when she's mad. At this point, at least, like, once the murder actually happened, I was like, at this point, you gotta see exactly how it was, because there's evidence all over that effing place. Even if the actual knife isn't there, there's evidence all over the place that the dude was effing nuts. Like, there's a lot. So, we'll see what happens with the relationship, if it matters, but she's decided to leave, and I am curious where that's gonna, take her character, if she's gonna go back to Falcone, and try to do something with him and work with him or whatever. But I'm curious where things are headed with her, because they kind of made it seem like at some point she would end up being with Jim again, because they even mentioned it with Falcone when she was mad. It was like, I can tell that you still care about Jim, and that never really came up again. So it kind of went back from maybe they will end up together back to she just completely hates him, and is like, oh well, I guess it'll just never happen, or maybe it'll take much longer than I was expecting, because they teased that like a super long time ago, I feel, and it just hasn't happened yet. So maybe we'll have to wait until the next season for that to finally just end and they get together. But for now, it's still a huge issue between them, which makes sense. I mean, somebody got killed, so it kind of makes sense. But I'm still excited for where things are headed. With her still being important to Jim, with it, depending on how things play out in this next episode, the court might end up going after her, because I'm sure Barnes isn't going to actually end up killing Jim. So they'll be like, all right, well, that failed. Let's try to take someone that's important to him. There's only like 2 people that they can do, and that's admittedly, it's either going to be Lee or it's going to be Bullock. Those are like the 2 people, and I guess Lucius now, since he's really a part of it. But those are the only people he like really cares about in that regard. And of course, Lee is still, despite their arguing and stuff, I would still say that she's at the top of his list as far as people he cares about. Everybody else he has is literally dead. So that's really got to be it. So I don't know how things are going to play out, but I feel like the tension between Lee and Jim isn't over, and the court might have something to do with that. But I am looking forward to the next episode. Like I said, for this one, I think they did a good job. We got to see, a lot of this stuff, honestly. We got to see some characters come back. We got to see, where they're kind of headed, at least for these last 2 episodes. I don't know about Hugo Strange. He seems like I don't know if he's just going to stay in that one location for the next 2 episodes or what. But for Barnes, we obviously know where he's headed as like the main villain for the next episode. We got a little bit of stuff with Bruce training. We actually see the guy that's training him call Catherine, so they're going to be headed back to Gotham in the next episode. So I'm looking forward to that, because they bring up a big question as to who this character actually is. I don't know if they're going to have him be Ra's al Ghul. I kind of doubt it. I would also hope not, and just there's multiple reasons for that, but also Ra's al Ghul has nothing to do with the Court of Owls. I don't want them to blend that together, because the Court of Owls is already good enough by itself. They don't need to be like the Court of Owls is actually controlled by the League of Assassins. I don't need that, and plus there'll be something random to add in at the last minute. Also, Arrow has already done the League of Assassins a bunch of times, so I don't know if they really want to kind of jump into that, especially so early with the League of Assassins. They won't actually be doing anything that Batman will be involved in. So there's just a lot of elements where it's like, that's like the one element of Batman where it's like showing that super early would almost be pointless. It still works with the Court of Owls because they're still controlling Gotham and stuff. The League of Assassins would just be murderers that Jim would fight. Like, there's nothing Bruce can really do about that. So I hope that it's not going to morph into like the League of Assassins is controlling the Court of Owls. But they're randomly off in the mountains. There's a bunch of mystical stuff happening. I'm like, I don't know. If there's any random old guy that I know that can do that, it would be Ra's al Ghul. So that's just me. I hope that that's not the case, but we'll get some answers pretty soon. But I am looking forward to these last 2 episodes. Naturally, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, though, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, going into this next episode, I want to know your theories on how things are going to play out with Barnes. Like, are they going to officially kill him in this next episode? Is he going to, get defeated once again and then end up going back to Arkham Asylum? Could they possibly come up with some crazy cure in the next episode out of nowhere? A lot of options, but we'll love to know your theories on how things are going to play out for his character. And of course, like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.